Hello everyone. So this is fifth video in series of our discussion on parliament. In the past 4 videos, we have discussed all these topics that you can see on the screen. So in the first video, if you remember, we had discussed both the houses of the parliament, that is Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, in detail. Thereafter, we discussed method of election that is prevalent in India. So we discussed as part of method of election first past post system. Thereafter, we discussed proportional representation system. What are the advantages and disadvantages of proportional representation system? Why we are using first past post system for the general election and for the election of member of legislative assembly? Why we are using proportional representation for the election of president, vice president, Rajya Sabha member and legislative council member? So all the advantages and disadvantages of both the methods of election we had discussed. Thereafter, presiding officer of both the houses, that is speaker, deputy speaker, chairman, deputy chairman and panel of chairpersons for the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, we had discussed in the third video in detail, right? Thereafter, in the fourth portion, we discussed legislative process. So what happens in this legislative process? How an idea that is conceived by a minister or a private member, that is translated and that becomes an act. So what happens from an idea to an act? What process does it follow? So that is discussed in the legislative process. What are the various types of bills? Thereafter, in this video, we'll discuss what are the privileges and immunities that has been given. In this video, what I have done as part of this privileges and immunities, that I have clubbed privileges and immunities of member of parliament with a member of legislative assembly members, because the privileges and immunity that member of parliament enjoy at the central level, at the parliamentary level, the same privileges and immunities member of legislative assembly also enjoy at the state level. So I have clubbed these privileges and immunity portion of the member of parliament with the member of legislative assembly, so that we need not to discuss this privileges and immunities as part of when we will be discussing the state government. So I hope enough of the introduction. Let us move to the next slide and let us discuss what is the scope of this video. So this video, as I already explained you, that the parliamentary privileges and immunity that has been mentioned in article 105. So this article you need to remember whenever there is any reference to the parliamentary privileges or immunities, right? You need to remember this article. This should quickly come into your mind, that it is article 105 in which parliamentary privileges and immunities has been discussed. Thereafter, assembly privileges and immunities has been discussed in article 194. So there is a difference of 89 article, and this 89 formula you need to know whenever you are referring to any article at the central level. So if you are referring to the PM, Prime Minister, and when you are referring to CM, you will notice there is a difference of 89 articles. So if it has been discussed in article 74, it will, the CM will be, the PM has been discussed in appointment of PM has been discussed in article 74, then CM will be discussed in article 163, the difference of 89. So this 89 formula always work, not always, if most of the time it works. So I hope this 89 formula you would have understood. Now let us move to this MCQ. So only 2 or 3 MCQs has been put up for this, because this is just one topic. So only 2 and 3 MCQs you will be expected to attend. So I hope the scope of this video would be clear to you. Even before discussing what is the meaning of parliamentary privileges, or what are the rights or what are the privileges that has been extended to member of parliament or member of legislative assembly, what are the privileges and immunity that has been extended to various houses like Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha. So when we will have discussion, you will see that if privileges and immunity has been extended at both the levels, at the individual levels, member of parliament and member of legislative assembly, as a member they do have certain privileges and immunity, and this privileges and immunity is at the level of house as well, right? So Rajya Sabha, Lok Sabha and assembly in our constitution does have separate privileges and immunities, and at individual level are member of parliament and member of legislature. So before understanding these things that has been contained in article 105 and 194, let us understand the literal meaning of privileges and immunity, so that you can appreciate, you can truly understand the meaning of privileges and immunity. So here on the screen you do have 2 photos. So here on this side of the screen that you can see, thousands of migrant laborers are moving from their current state, from Maharashtra to Bihar, from Haryana to UP, from Haryana to Bihar. So they are moving continuously from their current state due to this the crisis that has been created by this lockdown or COVID crisis, one of the biggest humanitarian crisis that our country has seen in last 2 decades. So this crisis is even greater than the crisis that was created after monetization. So many of them are barefooted, walking thousands of kilometers without any state support, although this provision of train has been made, provision of buses are being made by various state government, but those measures are lying insufficient. And in whole of this process, you would have noticed the cases where these migrants laborers are being beaten by the police. So here these migrants laborers who are financially poor, who do not have political linkages, are beaten by the police. They are not being allowed by the various state police to enter into their border, citing that lockdown reason. And here on the another side of the screen, police belonging to the same fraternity is celebrating, bringing cake and celebrating birthday of a famous sports star. And these type of cases you would have seen in many urban centers like Bengaluru or Delhi. So here you do have a Rajya Sabha MP, a sports star, although I am not casting any kind of aspersion on anybody, but here you do had this case where police has brought the cake and celebrated the birthday of this sports star, or who also happens to be Rajya Sabha member. So both side of the screen you have different class of people and different kind of treatment that they are being meted by the police. Here they were beaten, and here you had same police fraternity, although states may be different, but the same police fraternity which is giving completely different kind of treatment. So it is means this situation, this picture would have explained you the meaning of privileges, I hope. So privileges and immunities are nothing but certain extended rights, certain exemptions, certain concession that may be given to certain class of people. Although this is not legal, means these kind of differentiation that, but practically means legally something may not be correct, but you would have noticed that in practical life these kind of differentiation does happen whenever you are visiting any kind of government office or any police officers. You would have seen these kind of differentiation. So my purpose was not to create differentiation between the classes, but practically these things happen. So the meaning that we can derive for the privileges and immunity is extended rights, extended concession, certain exemptions, right? So here these exemption, these concession, these rights, though was not legal but had been extended, means we do have these cases. So here this class difference was not constitutional, but in constitution, for effective functioning, for independent functioning of member of parliament, certain kind of concessions, certain exemptions has been given to our member of parliament. So as a citizen, we do enjoy freedom of speech. As a citizen, we do enjoy protection against arrest, and that freedom of speech has been protected under Article 19. Protection against arrest has been, as a citizen, as a normal citizen, our protection against arrest has been protected in Article 22. But there are certain reasonable restriction that has been given in freedom of speech. So if you remember Article 19 when we were discussing, means Article 19(1)(a). Article 19(1)(a), we have been given this freedom of speech, freedom of expression, but the same freedom of speech and freedom of expression has certain kind of reasonable restriction that has been mentioned in Article 19(2). So as a citizen, as a normal citizen, we have been given certain freedom of speech and freedom of expression, but there are certain reasonable restriction that has been mentioned in the same article. Protection against arrest we have been provided in Article 22, but there are again certain reasonable restriction on which this protection against arrest can be taken away from. But if you take away, if you subject our member of parliament and member of legislative assembly with similar kind of reasonable restriction, they may not be able to perform their functions that they have been given for with respect to parliament very efficiently, very effectively and independently. Now you can raise the question that why a member of parliament should not be subjected to similar kind of reasonable restriction that these people as a normal citizens are being subjected with respect to freedom of speech or protection against against arrest or any other kind, why they should not be subjected to similar kind of reasonable restriction that has been mentioned in Article 19. So the reasoning is that if you subject our member of parliament or member of legislative assembly to the similar level of reasonable restriction that has been mentioned in 19.2 or 19.3, right, they may not be able to function independently, they may not be able to exercise their functions effectively in the parliament. Let us see an example. So recently, if you have been keeping update with the current affair, you would have listened to the news that there has been cases of Chinese incursion into the Indian borders, right? So there were cases, there were reported cases in the media house. Now, as a member of parliament, if see, in 19.2 there are certain reasonable restrictions that has been mentioned that okay, as a citizen you cannot your freedom of speech has been curtailed on the can be curtailed on these grounds. So your your freedom of speech can be curtailed on this ground if your freedom of speech is spoiling foreign relation or foreign relation with any country, or if you are causing any kind of defamation, or for the security and integrity of the state is being endangered, or sovereignty, integrity, public order or morality is being questioned, freedom of speech can be curtailed of the normal citizen. But if you subject our member of parliament also to the similar level of reasonable restriction, they may not be able to ask question from the government in the parliament on this Chinese incursion, right? Because if they are asking any kind of question from the government about this Chinese incursion, government may blame that you are spoiling our foreign relation, because we do have developed certain level of mechanism to deal with this situation. We are solving this problem, this Chinese incursion problem, at the diplomatic level, at the private level, but by bringing these things into the public, by bringing these things into the media through from the parliamentary panel itself, right, you are spoiling our foreign relations. And so your freedom of speech, means as a member of parliament or member of legislative, your freedom of speech are being curtailed. And that is the reasoning, means member of legislative assembly or member of parliament, that is the reasoning that our member of parliament is not being subject to the same restriction that our citizens are being restricted, because their job as a member of parliament or as a member of legislative assembly, their job is to hold government accountable in view of situations like this. So I hope by this one example it would be clear to you that why member of parliament or member of legislative assembly cannot be, their members cannot be subjected to the similar restriction that our normal citizens are being, because they need to hold our governments accountable, and that's why their freedom of speech is over and above that we have been given in Article 19. So their freedom of speech while in parliament is protected by Article 105, and you will see when we'll discuss Article 105 and 194, you will see that freedom of speech that we have been given, right, their freedom of speech, the limit of their freedom of speech is on a higher pedestal than and on ours. As far as protection against arrest, that a normal citizen's protection against arrest is protected under Article 22. When we'll discuss protection against arrest of member of parliament or member of legislative assembly, you will see that their protection of arrest, again their limit is higher, on a higher pedestal than ours. And all these things has been done for their to ensure their effective functioning, to ensure their independent functioning, right? So I hope this one example, although there can be n number of examples that can be taken to justify parliamentary privileges and parliamentary immunities, right, but I have just taken one example. Let us move to the next slide and now enter into why aspect, that why parliamentary privileges and immunities is necessary, right? So let us move to the next slide. To be able to discharge their function in a fearless manner, it is necessary that they are given certain privileges and immunities, right? What are the privileges and immunities? We'll see in the course of video that these people have been given in order to discharge their functions in a fearless manner. We'll see that, so that they are able to work efficiently and effectively, right? We are looking into the why aspect, that why these privileges and immunities has been given to them, so that they can work effectively and efficiently, so that they could discharge their function in a fearless manner, right? they can air their opinion without any fear of penalization by the court, right? So suppose there is some legitimate proof, there is certain legitimate ground, if any member of parliament or member of legislative assembly member does have certain proofs against Vijay Mallya, right, and if they know that the government is not taking action in a deliberate manner, right, so without fear of penalization they can speak about that industrialist, any industrialist or any influential people. If they have proof against, right, they can speak their mind without this fear of penalization, that I'll be defamed, a case will be filed against me under the defamation, they can drag me to the court. So without, means this kind of, this level of, when we'll discuss this video, you will see that the kind of level of protection for the freedom of speech they have been provided is immense. They cannot be dragged into the court for anything they say in parliament or any assembly. They cannot be dragged into the court. Freedom of speech is very essence of parliamentary democracy, and it must be extended to the elected representatives as well. So what are the class of people that has been extended these privileges and immunity? So if you allow me to draw a general statement, it is all those category or class of people who can participate in a parliamentary proceeding, who can participate in assembly proceeding, right? So these are the people who has been extended these privileges and immunities. So member of parliament under article 105 has been given this privileges and immunity. Then member of legislative assembly as well has been given under article 194. So whenever I am referring at the central level, at the parliamentary level, that privileges and immunity will be mentioned in article 105, and whenever I am referring to the state level, either about assembly or member of legislative assembly, those are mentioned, those privileges and immunities will be mentioned in article 194. So member of parliament has been given these privileges and immunities. Member of legislative assembly has also been given these immunities. Then minister, why this minister, when we already have mentioned member of parliament and member of legislative assembly, why these ministers has been mentioned separately in article 105 and 194? Because at times you will see that minister may not be member of parliament or member of legislative assembly, because our constitution has given an option that minister can remain, a person can be minister without being member of parliament or without being member of legislative assembly. And so there is word minister that has been mentioned in the constitution in these two articles, besides this member of parliament and member of legislative assembly. Then Advocate General of India, Advocate General at the state level, and Attorney General of India, they also do participate in the parliamentary and assembly proceedings. So they are also given these privileges and immunities. However, if you see, president and governor has not been given privileges and immunity that is enjoyed by this member of parliament, member of legislative assembly, and these people. Why these president and governor has not been given privileges and immunities? Because they already have certain privileges and immunity that they have been given under their own role as well, right? So that's why they are not part of privileges and immunities that has been mentioned in article 105 and 194, right? Privileges and immunities are available to all those members who, while attending, so this keyword is very important, while attending parliament, assembly and committing process. So whatever discussion that we'll have, whatever privileges and immunity that we'll discuss in the coming slide, all those privileges are available to these people only when they are performing their duties, only when they are attending the parliament or assembly or committee proceeding, right? So whatever freedom of speech that we'll discuss for these member of parliament or member of legislative assembly, their freedom of speech, that extended, rather freedom of speech they already have as part of, because they are also citizens, so their freedom of speech is also protected in article 19 as ours, but they have been given extended freedom of speech while being in parliament, while being in legislative assembly. So the key word is that whatever privileges and immunities are available, that is mentioned in Article 104 and 194, those are available only while they are attending these sessions, parliamentary sessions. So if budget session is going on, right, they will be subjected to this. Once they are out of these sessions, right, their immunities and privileges will vanish. We'll discuss in the detail, although there are certain nuances as well, like 40 days protection, right. So there are certain nuances, but as of now, generally speaking, just remember the keyword that all these protection and immunities, they are given only while attending these parliamentary or assembly meeting or committee proceedings. In normal days, they are like normal citizen. If they are doing any kind of crime, or if they are defaming anyone, they can be dragged in the court for the defamation case. But while participating in this parliamentary proceeding, they can do anything, they can speak anything, they cannot be dragged into the court. So I hope these points would be clear to you. Let us move to the next slide. So if you see parliamentary privileges and immunities, or assembly immunities and privileges has been mentioned at the two levels. So at the individual level, member of parliament and member of legislative assembly enjoy these privileges and immunities. So at the individual level as well, and at the house level as well, you will see. So there are two category of privileges and immunities. One for individual level for the MP and MLA, and another level is for the at the house level, right. So as a Rajya Sabha has a house, Lok Sabha has a house, and Assembly as a house, they also enjoy these privileges and immunity, right. That is separate from the immunities and privileges enjoy. So the rights and privileges and immunities that these as a house enjoy, that is separate from immunities and privileges enjoyed by individual member of parliament and member of legislative assembly. So let us first discuss that what is the privileges and immunities enjoyed by member of parliament and member of legislative assembly at the individual level, and thereafter in second part we will discuss that what are the privileges and immunities that is enjoyed by this Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha and various assemblies of 28 states and 3 UTs that we do have with the assembly, right. So what are their privileges, right. So let us move to the next slide and let us discuss these privileges and immunities at the individual level first. So these are the privileges and immunities that member of parliament and member of legislative assembly do enjoy at the individual level. At the house level, what are the rights, what are the privileges, or what are the immunities that a house as a Rajya Sabha or Lok Sabha or assembly enjoy, will discuss later in the course of video. But these privileges, these immunities belong to the member of parliament, belong to the member of legislative assembly under Article 105 for member of parliament and 194 for member of legislative assembly. Freedom of speech. So what are those privileges? So first privilege of member of parliament and member of legislative assembly is that they do enjoy freedom of speech in parliament and in assembly. So the key word is that this freedom of speech that is protected, or the privileges of freedom of speech that they do have, is over and above this Article 19 plus, right. Because as a citizen, their freedom of speech is also protected like ours. Their freedom of speech is also protected in Article 19, but as while they are in parliament, while they are participating in the proceeding of parliament or assembly, their freedom, the limit of their freedom of speech is higher than ours. So if normal citizens are subjected, whatever restriction that we discuss, a normal citizen is subjected to, right, those restrictions will not be applicable to this member of parliament and member of legislative assemblies under Article 19, and that's why I have written that the freedom of speech is over and above Article 19, means Article 19 plus. And mind you, again I am repeating that their freedom of speech is protected only when, means outside Article 19 will protect, and while they are participating in parliamentary proceeding, in committee proceeding or assembly proceeding, their freedom of speech there is protected under Article 105 and 194. Freedom from arrest in certain situation. So freedom of arrest in certain situation has been again protected by Article 105, 194. and that is over and above that they enjoy as a citizen in Article 22 plus. Freedom from appearing as a witness. Let us discuss these things in detail. So you do have freedom of speech in parliament and assembly. So as a member of parliament, as I was discussing, and member of legislative assembly, their freedom of speech of MLA and MP is not subject to the restriction that is mentioned in Article 19.2 plus. So what are the restriction that has been mentioned in Article 19.2? So these are the restriction on which a normal citizen's freedom of speech can be curtailed. So security of state, foreign relation, defamation, sovereignty, integrity of state, public order, morality. So on these grounds, a normal people like you or me, freedom of speech can be curtailed, but their limit, as I was discussing, is higher than ours. MP and MLAs has been vested with the freedom of speech for whatever they say, and for that is for independent functioning, for their independent functioning in parliament and assembly. They cannot be held legally accountable for anything that they said during the parliamentary proceeding or assembly proceeding, right? So it does not matter what they have said in parliament and in assembly, right? They cannot be held legally, means outside, when they are outside this assembly proceeding or parliamentary proceeding, they cannot be held legally accountable for whatever they have said in parliament or assembly. The highest limit of this freedom of speech of member of parliament and member of legislative assembly can be understood, can be gauged by this cash for vote scam that happened in 2008. So cash for vote, the meaning is clear, although you can Google this case, because if I start discussing this case, this will take time. So this happened in 2008, where there were allegation on certain MPs from a regional party belonging to the Jharkhand. There were allegation that to support a government which was falling in 2008. In 2008, you had this UPA government. Left party which was supporting UPA had withdrawn support from the UPA on certain accounts. So UPA needed support, and there were allegations against 11 MPs, member of parliament of a regional party in Jharkhand. I won't name it, that they had taken money, they had been bribed by certain party to support this falling government. Now these people, these 11 MPs had openly accepted on the floor of parliament that yes, they had received money for the party fund, not for the individual level, but for the party fund, for their support to the party to remain in the government. Now that was an open declaration by these 11 MP that yes, we had accepted money to support this government from the falling. Now, certain petitioners, a group of lawyers filed the petition against these 11 MPs in this cash for vote scam, but the court could not prosecute these 11 MPs because in the court when they came, they did not admit. They said that no, we did not say anything of that nature. Now, courts, despite knowing these things, their statement was on video record. Court, despite having that proof, could not use the statement that they have, or could not use that admission that they had on the floor of the house, because the privileges, this freedom of speech that has been extended to member of parliament and member of legislative assembly. Court simply said that whatever they have said on the floor of house, that cannot be used as a premise to prosecute these MPs, and these people were acquitted. Now, so that is the height of freedom of speech that this member of parliament and member of legislative assembly that they have while on the floor of the house. Means whatever they can say, whatever they have said, that cannot be used, or you cannot use that statement to drag them into the court. And that all is to ensure the independent functioning. Although I have taken a negative example, there can be many positive examples. So there may be certain industrialists, there may be group of people for against whom this member of parliament or member of legislative assembly may have certain proof, but if you do not give them this freedom of speech or the level of freedom of speech, they may not be able to speak their mind for the fear of being dragged to the court in the defamation case. Right? If you subject these people to the similar level of restriction, they may not be able to independently function. They may not be able to independently exercise their right as a member of parliament or member of legislative assembly. right? And that's why. And one more thing, let me add that even for the vote, so in what manner they are voting, voting manner, right? Even that cannot be questioned. So even if they are doing cross party voting, right, although that will fall under anti defection, and only house has rule, only house has to take the decision if they have been subjected to the anti defection, not the court, not the outside court, right? So that is the freedom of speech of parliament or member of parliament or member of legislative assembly, that is over and above article 19 plus. I hope this point is clear. Let us discuss another privileges of member of parliament and member of legislative assembly. So freedom from arrest, and that is over and above, that has been given in article 22. So elected representatives cannot be arrested. So when you have, suppose next session would be your monsoon session, right? So when you have this monsoon session going on, you cannot arrest our member of parliament 40 days. So this 40 days rule, 40 days before the starting of this monsoon session or 40 days after prorogue has been announced. So 40 days before this session or 40 days after this session, a member of parliament or member of, so in case of assembly session is going on, again member of legislative assembly has also been given the same level of this 40 days protection. So not only during the session, not during the assembly session or parliament session, but 40 days before and 40 days after, these people cannot be arrested. But this protection or this privilege is available only in case of civil cases, not in cases of criminal. So what is the civil cases? So if they have violated any kind of contractual obligation, if they have allegedly involved in any kind of land grabbing, so these cases, civil cases, are not life threatening cases. This cannot cause any kind of fatalities. That's why this relaxation has been given, because if you arrest these people during this ongoing session, they may not, they do have certain obligation towards their voter, they do have certain obligation towards the law making. So as a member of parliament, they have to design scheme, they have to participate in the law making, and if they are allowed to be arrested during sessions, ongoing session, that will be nothing but that will be obstruction in their discharge of duties. And that's why this privileges, or that's why this immunity has been granted to them. Again, the key word here is that they have been granted that immunity only in civil case. If there is any case like extortion or dacoity, or if there is any allegation that they have been directly or indirectly involved in murder or any heinous crime which is criminal in nature, in that case that person, member of parliament or member of legislative assembly, can be arrested. But again, there is a caveat, and the caveat is that those people cannot be arrested even in criminal case when they are within the limits of assembly, means geographical limits of assembly, or within the limits of parliament or the house which they are member of. Without, they can be arrested of course in criminal cases, but without, you will have to obtain as a superintendent of police or as a investigating officer, if you found that this member of parliament or member of legislative assembly has indulged in any criminal activity and their arrest is necessary, right, then in that case, and if they are at that time within the house or within the limits of the geographical limits of the house, you will have to obtain the permission of the head of the house. So the speaker or chairman, depending on the member they belong to, you will have to obtain permission. Means if they are in their constituency, no issues. If they are outside this house, no issues. If there is a criminal case, you can arrest without their permission. But if they are within the geographical limits, they can be arrested with the permission from the head of the house, right? So I hope the differentiation of civil case and criminal case you have understood. The third exemption or the third privileges at the individual level enjoyed by member of parliament or member of legislative assembly is that the member of parliament and member of legislative assembly are also exempted from giving any kind of witness. So any court, in it does not matter High Court or Supreme Court, cannot compel member of parliament and member of legislative assembly to provide any kind of witness. It may be physical appearance, or it may be kind of providing any kind of paper document, right? They cannot be compelled to provide witness during proceeding of the house, right? Because again that would lead to, if you are as a court, if you are asking for the physical presence of these members, right, that will be obstruction in the discharge of their duty. And mind you, again I am using the word that during the proceeding of the house, right? So I hope this provision, these three provision, you would have understood these three privileges and immunity. First was this freedom of speech, then second was your freedom from arrest, and the third was this from providing any kind of witness. So this was the third. So these are the three privileges and immunities that member of parliament and member of legislative assembly enjoy at the individual level. Let us move to the next slide and let us discuss what are the privileges and immunities that at the level of house, that is Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha and Assembly does enjoy. So these are the list of privileges and immunity that is enjoyed at the house level, right? So here on this slide we will discuss these things, these points briefly. On the next slide we will discuss these things in detail. So the first privileges or first immunity that the house has, that they have right to prohibit any digital or print media or any portal from publishing their proceedings. Then right to exclude strangers, we already have studied this in the previous video. Then right to institute inquiry, call witness with the relevant paper and order their punishment for the breach of privilege to both members and outsiders. The right to regulate their internal affairs of the house, right to receive information on arrest, imprisonment, prosecution, conviction of its members. Then courts are prohibited from inquiring about the proceedings of the house. So these are the privileges and immunities that house at the house level, means Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha and Assembly does have under Article 105 and under Article 194. Right. So I hope this thing is understood in brief. Let us move to the next slide and let us discuss these points in detail. So the first immunity or the first privilege enjoyed by Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha and Assembly is right to prohibit the publication of the proceedings. So you would have seen various TV channels or various print media writing articles on the proceedings of the house, or news channel like digital media, they sometimes live stream the house proceeding by taking feed from the Lok Sabha website, by taking feed from the Rajya Sabha TV. So they do those things, but they do not have any right to show any kind of image or show any half truth which is completely devoid from the truth, right, which may malign the image of the house. So you would have seen various print media writing article on the functioning of parliament, writing articles on the productivity of the parliamentarians of the house, like this season or this session Rajya Sabha has functioned only to the 24% of their capacity, or this season only 80% of the capacity, this season Rajya Sabha or Lok Sabha just completely indulged in the noise making, time wastage, this much money was wasted on the functioning of Rajya Sabha or the Lok Sabha. But if those articles are devoid from the truth, if those articles has been written with the motive, any agenda just to malign the house, in that case parliament or that house, particular house which image has been, whose image has been maligned by that article or by that TV broadcast, they can be, those portals or those media channels can be prohibited from the publication of the proceeding. They have been given that right for the publication or the live streaming, because people does have right of information, right? People need to know, people need to be made aware that how our parliament function, what is the functioning, in what way member of parliaments are functioning, what is their productivity, what is their attendance, how many questions they are raising in the parliament, right? Are they mute spectator or they are also participating in the debate? Recently you had news portal, I don't exactly remember the name, which has commented on the functioning or the question, number of questions that had been raised by one particular MB. So that member later on claimed that I did not ask that number of question that is being claimed by that media house. I asked at least 3 times number of the question that is being claimed by the media house. Later on, that media house had to, means privilege motion was moved by that member against the media house, and that media house was to apologize, was made to apologize, right? So in such cases, when the house finds that their image is being maligned, in that case privilege motion can be moved, right? So they can be prohibited from publication of the proceeding of the house, or they can be penalized at times as well. So I hope this point would be clear to you. Let us move to the next point. In order to secure free and fair discussion, at times at the request of leader of the house, strangers may be asked to leave the house, right? So if leader of the house requests from the presiding officer, as I already told you in the previous video, you or I can be a spectator of the proceeding of the house. So if you want to participate in the, not participate, or if you want to see the proceeding of the Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha or Assembly, you can do that just by filling a form, which if signed by member of parliament, you can go to the Lok Sabha, you can go to the Rajya Sabha, or in case of assembly, if it is signed by member of legislative assembly, right, that paper if signed by a member of legislative assembly, you can attend the meetings of the assembly. But at times they want some kind of private discussion which they do not want to be known to the people, general people. Then at that time they can, leader of the house can request the chairman or the speaker or the head of the house to get the galleries vacated where the general people are participating, right? So on their request, these strangers may be asked to leave the house so that free and fair discussion could take place. So I hope this point is clear to you. Let us move to the next slide and let us discuss another point. So this is the third immunity. So as a house level, at the house level, they do have right to institute inquiry, call witness with relevant papers, and order for the punishment in case of breach of privileges to both members and outsiders. So at the house level, if it is being complained by any member that any particular outsider or member had indulged in mudslinging which has maligned the image of the house, speaker or chairman either suo moto as well, without even complaint from the member or without bringing any kind of notice by any member, suo moto action can be taken by speaker and chairman, whatever the case may be. So in the previous case that we saw here, a media institute or a digital media had indulged in the mudslinging of the image of the house or member. In that case, along with stopping them, along with stopping their right, prohibiting their right from publishing the live feed, or from prohibiting them from writing any article, what that the house can do is that house can penalize them as well. So that cases are generally dragged into the privileges committee. There the chance may be given to that media house or individual who are allegedly indulged in the mudslinging, and they may be what you call given some kind of punishment. So if any member or person has caused the breach of privilege, house has power to institute inquiry, and against person or member in question can be called before the privileges committee. If found guilty, they can be punished, and their punishment can range from monetary fines to the imprisonment as well. Yes, you heard right. So this house, Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, does have power to imprison any person as well. So this is the judicial power of the house. Judicial power of the house. So as far as outsiders are concerned, they can be recommended for the imprisonment as well. Generally monetary punishment is given, but there have been cases where editors of the newspaper has been awarded up to the 1 year of imprisonment. Can you imagine this? This is the limit, this is the height of judicial power that a house has been given under Article 105 and 194. As far as their own members is concerned, if any of the member, that is member of parliament or member of legislative assembly in case of assembly, has indulged in this mudslinging, and if their case is brought to the privileges committee, in that case this nature of punishment will change, and there means nowhere it has been any example where their own members have been awarded this imprisonment. Their nature of punishment may change from suspension, and in maximum case it goes to the expulsion, right? So that is the nature of punishment that is given to their own members. Punishment of the member found guilty of the breach of privilege is decided by the house itself, which can range from suspension to the. Let us see what is the process when a complaint is received for the breach of privilege by a member or an outsider. What is the process that is followed in the house? So let us see what happened. So if you see, this is the example. Let me just adjust it. So this is the example. So this is the case when a member feels that his privilege or his immunity has been violated. So this is the scenario. When privilege notice is moved against an outsider, we'll see separate case. So if a member feels that his privilege or his immunity has been breached, in that case he or she will bring privilege notice against the other member. If the speaker feels that there is substance, there is legitimate reason, then he or she will admit. Generally, the reason for which privilege notice can be moved is if a minister has tried to misguide the house, or mislead the house, right? So these reasons, by supplying any kind of wrong information, when we'll discuss the privilege motion, you will see that privilege motion is moved against the minister generally for withholding the information or misguiding or misleading the house, right? So first thing that speaker or chairman will see is the intent of that person, intent of the minister which has given misleading information, whether the intent of the minister was actually to mislead the house or misguide the house, or he himself had the wrong information. In case if speaker or this chairman finds that minister or any of the member had actually provided their information with the intent to mislead or misguide the house, in that case she will surely admit that privilege motion. In case he finds that no, the minister he himself had the wrong information from the bureaucracy, in that case this will be solved at the political level. Simply minister can apologize on the behalf of his administration and things will be done. But if the matter is serious, if the speaker finds that there is legitimate reason, means the minister or any member concerned had actually tried to mislead the house or mislead any member, in that case speaker can refer this case to the privilege committee, right? Their privilege committee will have its long discussion and thereafter its inquiry or recommendation is shared with the house. Once house has the recommendation from the privilege committee, right, thereafter depending on the severity of breach, the punishment will be decided by the speaker in consultation with the house. So I hope the points are clear, but in this case the punishment generally ranges from suspension of few days, suspension, to the expulsion of the member. So that is the maximum punishment, that is expulsion, right? Generally imprisonment power that the house does have is not exercised against its own member, right? You can call it a case of discrimination, but that is how our houses has functioned. If you see another case, if outsider is indulged in the mudslinging, in that case if privilege, so recently Mahua Mitra, the firebrand leader of TMC, she had moved a privilege motion against a media house and she had submitted this privilege motion to the speaker. So this is a case of outsider where a member is submitting privilege notice or privilege motion against an outsider. So that will be submitted by, and whenever the cases belong to the outsider, it is outrightly referred to the privilege committee. Privilege committee will call that person or that organization or organization head into this privilege committee. They will be called to produce the witness. They will be given chance to have their side, and thereafter privilege committee after conducting this lengthy inquiry, they will have this recommendation and that will be discussed by the house. So again, depending on the severity, this punishment is decided by the speaker. Generally, this kind of recommendation does not come to the house level. Privilege committee itself decides the punishment, right? So recently in Karnataka, there were two editors who who were awarded 1 year of the imprisonment. After much criticism from the media house, their imprisonment was changed to the fine of 50,000 each. Right, so this is what happens. The process changes in case of what you call if the outsider is involved. So this is what I was talking about, right, in the previous slide, that they do have right to institute inquiry, call witness with the relevant paper, and decide punishment for the breach of privileges to both members and the outsider. Let us move to the next slide and let us discuss other thing. So you do have right to regulate at the house level, mind you. We were discussing that what are the privileges and immunities that has been given in Article 105 at the 105 and 194 for the assembly, right, at the house level. So the next privilege and immunity is that they do have right to regulate their internal affairs of the house, and even the court means how they regulate their internal affair, what right they do extend to member of parliament, what right they do extend to member of legislative assembly. That is not questioned, that cannot be questioned by the court. So their internal functioning, how they function, what is their rules of procedure, how they proceed, so all these things cannot be questioned by the court. Right to receive, so if any member of parliament or member of legislative assembly is if arrested or convicted or prosecuted, so the chair or that house does have right. So if any member of parliament of Haryana has been arrested in Pune or Mumbai, and if house is in session, or even if house is not in session, right, and if that house wants to know the status, why he has been arrested, what is the level of charges that is being pressed, then that investigating officer or the thana concerned will have to provide that information to the house. So that is again a privilege, that is again a immunity. So I hope these things are understood to you. Now let us see that privileges are available against whom, right? So a member has available this privilege, and he or she can exercise this privilege against minister. Minister can also move privilege motion against individual members. Then members, that is member of parliament and member of legislative assembly, can move privilege motion against any outsider. That outsider can be individual like you or me, or it can be any organization, any industry, any media house, or house as well. Means this was at the individual level where a member could move a privilege motion against the minister, where a minister could move privilege motion against individual member or member against outsider. At the house level as well, house can move privilege motion against any individual or organization. Now let us move to the next slide and let us discuss that what can be considered, what cases can be considered breach of privilege of the individual or the house. The first case, if any misleading statement is being given by a minister or member to the house purely with the intent to mislead the house, then that can be considered as breach of privilege if disturbance is caused by outsider. So if a member or if a normal citizen like you or me is present in the house, and if I try to throw any pamphlet, if I try to be Bhagat Singh, if I try to throw chappal or bomb, of course means bomb I cannot throw, right? So if there have been cases where leaflets, where pamphlets have been thrown, we'll see in the example section. So there have been numerous examples where chappals and leaflets and pamphlets have been thrown when the house was functioning, right? So that can be also called a breach of privilege. Assault on the member while performing the duties, while they are part of what you call this parliamentary function, while this session is going on. Speeches and article that may be written by anybody, any editor or any TV or any media house, maligning the image of the house and members. So all these cases can be considered as the breach of privilege. So I hope these points are clear to you. Let us see misleading statement by the member of the member or a minister. So statement or information given to the house with pure motive to misguide or mislead the house, right? But here whenever privilege motion will be brought against any minister for providing any kind of misleading statement or withholding any kind of information or wrongly supplying, speaker or chairman, whatever the case may be, before admitting that notice, privilege notice, he or she will check the intent right? What was the intent of that member? If the intent was purely to misguide or mislead the House, then that motion will be admitted. But if member has been able to prove that he himself had the wrong information from the bureaucracy or due to any reason, in Rafale case, there was privilege motion against the then Defense Minister Nirmala Sitharaman for withholding or supplying the wrong information on the costing structure and the technology of the Rafale. But there she was able to prove that whatever information that she has provided, the basis was the information that she had been provided by the French company. So privilege motion was not admitted or was discarded rather, right? So recently you had this privilege motion against Thawar Chand Gehlot for providing some wrong information on the SC/ST quota row, right? Before that, you had this privilege notice against Prime Minister and Defense Minister in the Rafale case, right? So I hope this point is clear. Let us move to the next case. Next case is disturbance by the outsiders. So these has been the cases where outsiders sitting in the galleries of the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha has indulged in the disturbance. So how they can cause disturbance? So in 1967, few leaflets were thrown from the visitors gallery, means people were attending, people were sitting in the galleries, and from there they threw some leaflets and pamphlets. In 1983, this happened in case of Rajya Sabha. In 1983, again few people sitting in the galleries threw chappals from the visitor gallery. In 2008, from the Urdu Weekly, there were some writing against the deputy chairman, which seemingly called the Rajya Sabha deputy chairman a coward and attributed a motive on the decision taken by him. So these can be cases of disturbance by the outsider. Let us move to the next slide and let us discuss speeches and articles written maligning image of a house or member. So recently you had not recently, in 2017 rather, 2 or 3 editors were jailed. Means I already cited that example where they had been jailed, they had been imprisoned by Karnataka Assembly for 1 year. Later on, this imprisonment decision was changed into monetary fine, right? Then next example, Trinamool MP Member of Parliament example I already have taken. Mohia Mitra moves privilege motion against TV channel. So if any media house or any of the member is writing article or giving any kind of wrong information which has capacity to malign image of the house or any member, this privilege motion can be moved. So these were certain examples which can be cited as the case of breach of privilege, right? What are the sources of privileges and immunities of member of parliament and member of legislative assembly? So the one source is Article 105 and 194. 194 for assembly and member of legislative assembly, and 105 for member of parliament and Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha. So that is one source, means constitution is the source, the first source. So but in constitution only 2 privileges and immunities has been mentioned, that is freedom of speech in parliament and freedom to vote, plus right to prohibit publication of its report. It can reserve the right to publicize its live feed or any kind of publication to itself, although in interest of public these rights has been given to other media house as well, but that right can be prohibited. So only these 2 rights has been explicitly mentioned in Article 105 and 194. About other privileges, the constitution says that it should be same as on the day of commencement of constitution until defined by a law made by parliament. So parliament and assembly has been given right under Article 105 and under Article 194 to bring a law and to define what will be the privileges and immunities of the parliament and assembly. But till now there is no law which specifically define that what will be the privileges and immunities of the member of parliament and member of, and this is one of the biggest drawback, that in absence of a clear cut law which could define this privileges and immunities, most of the time you will see that any such case, any case which seemingly criticize any member, is taken by the parliament as loss of privileges and immunity. So this is one of the biggest drawback, right? So the first source was Article 104 and 105 and 194, that is mentioned in the constitution. So while discussing the sources of privileges, so the first source is constitution, these two articles. Second source is rules of both the houses, that is Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha. Here you can include assembly as well, right? So whatever rules of procedure, that rules of procedure also contains privileges and immunities. Then parliamentary convention that has developed over last 73-74 years, and then judicial interpretation as has been the case in last 70 years. So these are the sources of privileges and immunities. So I am limiting this lecture on privileges and immunities here itself. Let us have the MCQ. So there has been two MCQs, first MCQ and second MCQ. So these are the two MCQs with regard to the parliamentary privileges. As far as other things are concerned, other videos are concerned, that will come soon. Till then, bye bye.